Why are we saying Allah?
This is a old haggada. Haggadas is from the oldest Svarim that we have. You go and you look up old haggadas, you have thousands of them. So I picked one haggada that was published, Tavchav Beis, basically
I brought the water.
Oh, thank you.
350 years ago about. And as you see, it's a very, the style was
How long?
350 years ago in Amsterdam.
Is there a Bala that day?
The Bala Mefarish, you mean? And it wasn't clear who it is. So I figured in honor of Pesach, we're going to do 3 shtiklach in the Haggadah. I'd like to do 3 pieces
And the
and 3
Rebbe's
dvar Toras. Mitzvah Hashem, that too. But I think everyone is going to have to do the mitzvah of Sipri Tzis Mitzrayim. So tonight we'll do 3 pieces of the Haggadah, 3 dvar Toras, and 3 stories that you could share with your family. Huh? In Yonah de Yoma, exactly. Hey lachmanya de chol avasona bar de Mitzrayim kol chfin yetsa v'yechel kol de tzrich yetsa v'yifsach ashat ha'hochel l'shana babar de Yisrael ashat ha'havdei l'shana abo b'nei choyni.
It's the same like Haggadah.
Yeah. The pictures are different.
Really?
So
Kahei, do we?
now we say hey, not keha. There's a lot of different girsas. So
Then what's the difference? Hey, it's Ke'ilu. Like. We say no, this is the one.
Is this Chabad? This
no, this is a 350-year-old Haggadah.
I got it.
How old?
350, about a little more. So one of the simple pshatim of the connection here is that now, unfortunately, we have poor Jews, and we say Kol Dechvin Yesev Yechel. We invite them. We make a big seder, and we invite 40, 50 people to come. However, we say L'shon Haba Ba'arad Yisrael, Mashiach will come, and there'll be every Yid will have a Rechush Gadal, and therefore every Yid will have his own table and his own seder and his own Rechush Gadal. Going out of Mitzrayim, it was very important for the Jews to have a Rechush Gadal. Why was it so important? Number one. Number two, it says that Hashem made a special miracle. In the 3 days of darkness, the Medrash Tanchuma says that the Jews had X-ray vision. They came into a house, they could see through the walls. Not only they came into the house of a mitzvah and they could see through the walls, and they could see exactly where they were hiding their diamonds and their jewelry. Before they went out of Egypt, they went to do the mitzvah. They went to ask the Egyptians, please give us a loan these jewelry you have. So every Egyptian said, me, I don't have anything. The Jew said, but how about under your bed you have a jug, and in the jug there is, and he'd give him a list of the stuff.
The Egyptian didn't ask, how do you know?
The Egyptian said, what? How do you know? He said, the Shloshis Yimei Hafela, those dark days when you couldn't see, I was in your house and I saw exactly everything. The Egyptian was embarrassed, thoroughly embarrassed that he just lied. He said, you know what, how much you wanted? Jew said, I want the jewelry for 3 days. He said, okay, for 3 days, no problem. Take it.
And I think they respect more the Jews. If you were there in the darkness, when you saw everything, you didn't take it.
Right.
You didn't take it and just don't
Right.
I lost it.
So they trusted the Jews, they gave it to them. But obviously the Jews never had in mind to give it back, because the plan was that the Egyptians are going to run after them, and then they were going to drown, and then the Jews will not only keep everything, but they'll even get even more of the rechush. That the zela is only when I decide to do it, but the Eibush told him to do so.
So just because Hashem commanded that.
Because Hashem commanded to do so.
Would be.
It's Hashem anyway.
Right.
So
Isn't there a I'm sorry. Isn't there a pasuk that I'm not sure if I got it right, but does it say Vayitayim Eschein Ha'am or something?
Yes.
It does say. In other words, Rabbi Shalom made that the Goyim should like them.
Right. Question is, why was it this way? An unbelievable miracle the Eibishter made that the Jews could see through walls. Through walls. When did Mrs. Franklin invent the X-rays?
Not Mrs. Franklin.
No?
No, Dr.
Machloikas apoiskim. Some say.
About 1903.
Okay.
Wasn't his name?
They say really it was invented by a Jewish woman.
For the day.
And that, okay, Sean, you don't accept it. Fine.
No. Or French woman.
French woman?
French doctor.
French doctor. But they say it's not true because really a Jewish woman that was working with him and she invented it. Okay.
Well, true in some cases with DNA.
So
She got
what
the
happened
number.
was that this technology was given to the Yidden b'derech nes 3,400 years ago. Why did Eibishter make it such a miracle? And the Monofshech, if it was Eibishter could make it, should rain gold in Goshen. Could rain gold, should rain. Like Shimon Ben Yochai said, Bika Bika, Dinner Izav, and the whole Bika was filled with Dinner Izav. And it's not. Why make such a miracle, which is unusual miracle, and no, but they're not touching it. Then they're going to go to the Egyptians and say, please, can I take it on loan? And then the Eibishter made a trick that he killed the Egyptians, and then the Yidden kept it. Why this whole thing?
The Egyptians deceived them so many ways that now Hashem is
Right.
back to deception.
Yeah, but still, the question is why did the Eibishter set it up this way? If the Eibishter wants the Yidden to have money, he could make that the whole Goshen gold should rain. In Mitzrayim it should be borod, and in Goshen should be din reizav. That's it. Why make this a spectacular miracle and then it's nothing, and then they have to go ask for the money? Why? The Rebbe says like this. There is a story with the Alter Rebbe that the Alter Rebbe was in prison. When they take him for interrogation, he was on an island. So they took him on a boat and they brought him across to the mainland. Over there was the Russian Senate, and it was the middle of the night, and the Alter Rebbe saw that the sky was clear and he could do Kiddush Levana. So he asked the captain to stop the boat. He refused. So the Alter Rebbe said, I'm going to stop the boat. And the Alter Rebbe did so. They could not move the boat. Nothing they do. The boat was standing as if it was on an anchor. The Alter Rebbe said, now I'm going to let the boat move. The Alter Rebbe said, okay. And the boat moved. Now the Alter Rebbe said, let me ask you again. Could you please stop the boat for me? Why? Because it says that a person's mekadosh de lavona, it's like mekabel pnei ashchina, and the Gemara says hilkich nimreinu leumad. We should say it while we're standing. We say it in the thing, the good Gemara, right? The Alter Rebbe wanted to stand. That's a shaila when you're in a boat. If that's considered standing or not, there is many shittas in this. Most opinions hold that you're standing. The boat is moving, you're standing. But the Alter Rebbe wanted to be mahader that he's actually standing lekabel pnei ashchina. So he didn't want the boat to move. So the captain said, "Would you bless me?" The Alter Rebbe said, "Yes." "Can you give me the blessing in writing?" The Alter Rebbe said, "Yes." And years later, the Frierdiker Rebbe met this guy who said that his great grandfather was that captain, and he showed him the piece of paper where the Alter Rebbe wrote a blessing to this captain. The captain stopped the boat. The Alter Rebbe did Kiddush Levana.
What kind of blessing he wrote?
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
I don't know. So the question is, what the Alter Rebbe try to do here? If he could stop the boat, say Kiddush Levana. He stopped the boat, and then he let it go, and then he asked this guy, please stop the boat for me. He has to give him a bracha and write it down. So the Rebbe says that the mitzvah, it has to be done in the teva, in nature. Because if it's miraculous, that doesn't change the nature. We have to change it. Zman HaMokim. We have to change the time and space. We have to change the nature of this world. If a magic wand and everything is miraculous, that's not a mitzvah. A mitzvah is to be done in time and space, in nature, to change in nature. Haggada for the mitzvah, preparation for the mitzvah, if necessary, that could be miraculous. The Alter Rebbe tried to do the preparation for the mitzvah naturally, but it wasn't going to work. He had no choice, he did it miraculous. But he didn't want the actual mitzvah should be miraculous. Actual mitzvah should be done b'teva. The Rebbe says that perhaps the same pshat is here in the Tanchuma. There was a mitzvah for the Jews to take the clay cast, the Rechush Gadal. Why? Because the Chassidus says that because there were netzutzes, we know according to the Soid, according to Kabbalah, that there were netzutzes of Kedusha Mitzrayim. That's why Mitzrayim was so rich begashmias, because there were a lot of sparks of Kedusha. And the Jews had the mitzvah to extract all those sparks of Kedusha. So that mitzvah the Jews have to do naturally. The Eibishter he gave the chena and he gave that Eden had a lot of chen, and the Goyim wanted to give it to them. The Eibishter made a miracle. They had X-ray vision. They could see through the walls. But the actual mitzvah to extract the netzutzah of Kedusha, that they have to do on their own. A lot of miracles happen to help them get there, but the actual mitzvah of taking out the netzutzah of Kedusha, you have to do on your own. I told this word a few weeks ago in Shul, and I told it in connection with this. I said a story that I met a woman. Her son, her daughter is a principal in a Choshev Beis Yaakov. Her son is a principal in a school which is walking distance from here, very Choshev yeshiva. And she said that she's told me a whole story about her sister-in-law, a Nes, a Rebbe, a daughter, never had. She was born with severe issues, and they said that she'd be blind and deaf. Rahman al-Islam. They went to Rimnitz Rebbe. He said, "Could she hear?" The mother said, "I think she can hear." He said, "If she can hear, she'll be able to see." And he said, "But invite me to the wedding." He was so old at that time. They thought he was made a joke. And she came home, and the daughter Taka miraculously was healed. Mamish, they told her diagnosis: the child had Down syndrome, and also couldn't hear and couldn't see. And what happened was he had Arichas Yomim. He lived to 104. A short time before he passed away, her daughter got engaged and she getting married. And they remembered, he said, "Please invite me for the chas." And they came to his house. He was nebuch, he had a stroke, he couldn't move. So the Rebbetzin said, but the Rebbetzin said, I told him I'm going to invite him to the wedding. He came in, he shook his head, he wants to go. Mm-hmm. He remembered that he said he's going to come to the chas.
Wait, who is that rabbi who?
So he came to the wedding. He passed away a very short time after that. Mm-hmm. And this woman lives here in the neighborhood, and she has, Baruch Hashem, 9 children, making chasnas now, Baruch Hashem.
Did you say that she was Down syndrome?
Yep.
And she couldn't hear?
And see. Well, so the woman telling me the story says, and I also have a story. I have a story with Lubavitch Rebbe. She said she had a baby. The baby had the hydrocephalus and passed away. Next baby, the doctor said that they have a chshad, that it's not good. So she went to the Lubavitch Rebbe, and at that time they were going to do a sonogram. The Rebbe said, "Don't do any sonogram. It's not good for you, not good for the baby. You can have a baby b'shotay v'matzlachas." This woman is a sister-in-law, is a mishpacha. My mother-in-law is her sister-in-law. So my mother-in-law had a baby at that time, and she asked the bracha from the Rebbe. That's my wife's older sister. And the Rebbe said it should be, forgot the word, but it was like something. It'll be very quick, and that's what happened. Before a due date, the whole thing was chick-chock. The baby came out. It was unbelievable. It was her first baby, so it was like. So this woman, when she was getting close to having the baby, came. She said she wrote to them. My sister-in-law got a bracha, and she had her baby very quick and very easy. I also bracha. The Rebbe said, "Ito b'zmana." It'll be in the right time. She was 3 weeks overdue, and she had 12 hours of labor. The Rebbe told her what. She asked for the bracha. They were sorry. It's going to be "Ito b'zmana." The right time. So that's what, when the Yidden are in Golus, the Nes, there's a darkness by the Goyim, and there's a darkness in the world. The Eibishter gives us tzaddikim to show us a light. That we should see a light in the place of Goyim and Goyishkeit. In the place of Umas Oilam, that we should see the light. That comes to us miraculous. But the actual mitzvahs that we have to do we have to do on our own. Taka, the Eibishter gives us tzaddikim, shine a light for us in the last moments of Golus, and the many nisim that happen. But the actual picking up the sparks of Kedusha, we have to do on our own. That we have to do on our own.
That's when the interaction with other people.
Right.
That's
when
how
we,
it comes out.
Right. When we interact
has
with
to be
people
that.
at work, with Goyim, with Yidden,
whatever it is.
whatever we do in
It must be with other human beings.
right.
This is called Ishtadlut.
Huh? Right.
Ishtadlut
But the
is something.
achona could be miraculous.
Yeah.
The actual mitzvah has to be done b'tev. Let's go to the next piece. Manishtana. Okay, so you have here, to summarize, the story of the Rechush Gadal, the story of the Tanchuma, the Rebbe's question, what happened, the answer, story of the Alter Rebbe, the Achona mitzvah, the Etzem mitzvah, story of the Rimnitzer Rebbe, the Rebbe, and what we could take the lesson is that we can rely on many miracles, but the actual mitzvah we have to do on our own. Next piece, Manishtana. Manishtana alayla zeh mikol alaylas. Chol alaylas on echlim chametz matzah. I'm reading it the way it's here. Chabad nusach is different. Alayla zeh kol matzah. Chol alaylas on echlim shayirok. As alayla zeh moresh. Chol alaylas ein anamat bilin afil pamechos. Alayla zeh shtei pomesh. Chol alaylas on echlim ben yosh ben mesubin. Alayla zeh kolom mesubin. These are 4 kashas.
What's Chabad is different?
Yeah, we do it in the order of how we do it in the order of how we say it. Yeah, we would first matbilin. We do it in order of how we. So Manishtana is a question. What's different? It's different. Before we go into the 4 questions, just the general, there's a beautiful sikha from the Rebbe said to children in a rally in Chol HaMoed Pesach, where the Rebbe explained to the children that this question, Manishtana, can be asked in many, many ways. One way to ask the question of Manishtana is when a Jew goes into the world, the Jew is asked, Manishtana, why are you different than all other people? Why do you have to act different? Why is everything you do is different? Why do you have to be different? Manishtana, why are you different? And a Jewish child, the Rebbe used to talk to children, some of them used to come from public schools, can be asked, why are you different? Why can't you eat candies like everyone eats a candy? You have to look to find if there's a kosher symbol, you have to make a bracha.
You go out with friends Friday night.
Why do you have to be different? At every one of our levels, there is a goy or the Yetzer Hara that asks us, why do you have to be different? And that's really the question that we ask. Right? Right? It's the question. The answer is, Havodim or Yinu lefarim Mitzrayim. That the Eibishter took us out of Egypt, we were slaves really to Pare, and the Eibishter took us out of Egypt, that we should become his servants. That's why we're different. That's the bottom line. The Eibishter chose us, that we should be his people. Therefore, he took us out of Mitzrayim, and he brought us to Har Sinai, and he gave us the Tora, and he built us the Beis HaMikdash, that we are his people. And the whole haggada is an answer to this question. There's an interesting mechilta. The mechilta says that the Yidden went out of Mitzrayim on Thursday. They came to Ramses. They were there Shishi Shabbos. Thursday, Friday, Shabbos. Sunday, which is the 4th day, the Jews get up. They're starting to travel now. Pare had sent messengers with them. They said, "That Shloshas Yom, we're going to a road. On the road, we're going for 3 days." They said, "What's going on? You guys have to go back to Mitzrayim." The Yidden said, "Who said 3 days?" They said, "Pare." They said, well, "We went out with the permission of Pare?" Question mark. In other words, we went out with the Eibishter's koyach, not because of Pare. And the Eibishter told us to go. We're going. And we're going to Har Sinai. So the people said, "Listen, you want to go, you don't want to go. You have to be Mekayim Zeres Malchus. Pare is very powerful. Don't think you'll be able to get out of his clutches." What did the Yidden do? They got up They hit them, they killed some of them, they wounded, and they sent them away Bekitza with big bizyonis. So they went back to tell Paroi. So Moshe Rabbeinu said to the Yidden, we're not running. Not only we're not running, we're going to go walk towards Paroi. He's going to think that we're crazy or something. That's going to...
We're coming back.
We're coming back. And that's going to give him this adrenaline to go even stronger with more force against us. Oh, and that's when he's going to have his downfall. The Rebbe says this is a lesson in our Avodas Hashem. This is a lesson in our Avodas Hashem. Sometimes we manage to do the right thing. We break out of the clutches of the Yetzer Hara. We have bad habits or things that are Mitzrayim. We break out. Sometimes what happens like a lapse. We lapse. After a few days, the Yetzer Hara comes along and says, you're never going to break free from Paroi. Paroi has a very strong hold. What do you think? You think you're going to break old habits? You're going to think you're going to teach old dogs new tricks? That's what the Yetzer Hara tries to say. We have to learn from the Yidden of Mitzrayim that didn't care. They sent them away with big bizyonis. You would think Paroi is sending his messengers, only a couple of them. Don't just try to be politically correct. You know, say nice, don't whatever, don't worry. No! The Yidden got up with big bizyonis and they sent them flying. And they didn't care Paroi is coming. Because Moshe Rabbeinu said, not only we're not going to run, we're going to walk towards Paroi. And the Yidden had a big hatzloch. Same thing we have to know in Avodas Hashem. That's the hatzloch that we have. The Rebbe said a nice word from his father. As we say in Pesach, you should have a kosher fe'lechem Pesach. Chag Pesach, kosher v'sameach. That the Rosh Tovus of the word kosher is kemoitzi sholol rov. When a Yid is mehader in the midst of kosher, you think you're spending more money, right? The kosher and achsherim, but really kemoitzi sholol rov. When a Yid is medayik in kashrus,
Treasure.
it's a treasure. It's like finding a treasure. There's a story of the Tzemach Tzedek. This story is brought in several books of Chassidim, Elter Chassidim, Rabbi Yudel Chitrik, a few more, Rabbi Perlov. Tzemach Tzedek is Yortzeit is this week, Yud Gimel Nisan. The Tzemach Tzedek, one of his big things, projects in life. Tzemach Tzedek never wanted to be a Rebbe. He was a Gon Otzam. He used to learn. He learned 18 hours a day. He wrote what we have today, which is Oira Tora. It's 30 volumes, and the Shalos Teshuvos 8-9 volumes, is a fraction of what he wrote. Unbelievable Gon. But when he accepted upon himself to be a leader in Klal Yisrael, he dedicated himself to one of the projects, which was the Kantonisten. Kantonisten was a terrible thing. In Russia, it was an empire at that time. It wasn't only Russia. It was Russia, right? Russia, Ukraine, part of Lithuania, Poland. Every Jewish community needed to provide soldiers for the army. Jewish community, they weren't interested. So they would come forcefully. They would take Jewish children from the age of 8 to 12, settle them deep into Russia, where no Jews lived, where they'd be raised by Goyish families till the age of 20. And they'd have to serve in the Tsar's army for 25 years. The men would come home at the age of 40, 45, not knowing Aleph Beis. Some of them would come back home, couldn't find their parents.
They don't know they're Jewish even.
They knew they were Jewish. They tried to force them to convert. Most of them didn't. Some of them were killed in Kiddush Hashem, but there was many brigades in the Russian army that called the Cantonists. In fact, my brother's a shlichus in Russia, in a city Ulyanovsk. That was a city, it was forbidden for Jews to live there.
Which city?
Ulyanovsk. Deep in Russia, you know. You drive for 25 hours, and when you get there's a black mountain of ice, and you get on the other side, there's Ulyanovsk. So the Jews were not to be trusted. There was a pale of settlement, the Jews could live there. But the Jews were not to be trusted, so the Jews could only live in the pale of settlement. This city had an old Jewish community. Well, Jews are not allowed to live. They were Cantonist. The Tsar's army, they allowed to live anywhere in Russia. So they had the right to live. So they had a Jewish community that lived in Ulyanovsk for many years. Tzemach Tzedek, there was once before Pesach, and it was a Jewish brigade, and they were happy that they were close to Lubavitch. They thought they'll be in a Jewish place for the first 2 days of Pesach. Right before Pesach, they find out that they're planning to go deep into Russia, and that they're going out of White Russia, some Goysville in Russia, and they'll end up the Pesach, they're going to be somewhere in Goysville. They were terribly disturbed. A few of the Cantonisten quietly escaped their camp, and they went to the Tzemach Tzedek. Tzemach Tzedek was known to them that he had a very soft spot for the Cantonisten. Quietly used to send shluchim to help them, and he had quiet work that he would do among the Cantonisten. They went to ask Tzemach Tzedek what to do. What should we do? Tzemach Tzedek pulled out a map. He went like this. He said, look, he said, you should go back to your commanding officer. He showed them, look, Russia's a big place. He said, we're right here in Lubavitch. He says, you guys are going this way. Between every city your commanding officer is planning to take you is 50 viorst, whatever it is, 50 miles. He says, you can't walk it in a day. You guys will be stuck in the freezing, it's the end of winter in the puddles. You're not, tell your commanding, or you're not going to get food. It'll not be easy to sustain the brigade. Suggest a different route, going through White Russia. First city was going to be Shklov, and then is going to be Orsha, and then is going to be, and then Orsha, Shklov, and then it'll be another city, and then Moliov, and that's how you're going to travel. And those cities are very close to each other. And the Tzemach Tzedek said to one of the soldiers, I want to ask you a favor. When you guys, the first place will be Shklov. Probably you'll stop in Shklov. You'll go to shul. All the Jews over there will be happy to see you. Everyone is going to invite another soldier. A family will invite you for the Seder. For sure, after the Seder, a family is going to ask you to sleep in their house. Where was it? It's already 12 o'clock at night. We should go back to so let them stay. Tzemach said, do me a favor. Refuse. In Shklov, there's a shul called the Green Base Medrash. There's a hektish shtibel there. Go sleep there.
Green.
Okay.
All the soldiers.
No, only this one soldier. This one soldier. And then he said, do me another favor. I think the last days of Pesach, you might end up in Moliov. Again, Jews will invite you. The people will say, sleep in our house. Refuse. There is a Pesach hektish shtibel called Linas HaTzedek, where people could sleep there free of charge. Do me a favor, go sleep there. Okay, it's no problem. No big deal. Okay. They snuck back into their camp. Like they're going to go to their commanding officer to tell them they did. But Tzemach Tzedek said. So they came to the commanding officer. They said, look, we were thinking about this whole plan. And then they told him everything Tzemach Tzedek said. He said, you know what, you guys are brilliant. Didn't think of it. You're right. How do you suggest we go? They said we go Shklov. They gave him the whole thing, spiel the way that Tzemach Tzedek said. He said, good idea, let's go. Erev Pesach, they got to Shklov. It's a big Jewish city. Big Jewish, Irv Eimbi Yisrael, Shklov. It's a Litvish city. And the commanding officer knew that they're Jews. He said, first 2 days they can rest. They're off. They're off duty for 2 days. They can go to synagogue. They can do whatever they want. For 2 days they're off. They all, it was Erev Yom Tov, they ran to the Beis HaMerchas, they washed themselves up, and they all went quickly to shul, came there on time to davening. After davening, obviously the Yidden in the Shklov, they didn't know that the soldiers are coming, but every family was happy to take 1 or 2 soldiers. This one soldier that was at the Tzemach Tzedek after the Seder, as the Tzemach Tzedek said, the family said, please sleep with us, don't go back. He said, no, I can't. He said, okay, fine. He left. He asked them, where is the Green Base Medrash? They told him. He walked to the Green Base Medrash, and he went to sleep on a bench. He falls asleep, he hears someone cry, oi, oi. So he was trying. trying to find out. He gets up, Rachmanas, he walks over, he says,
This is not.
Rabbi Yid, what's going on? He says, just go to sleep. He goes to sleep, he falls asleep again. Oi! He says, I can't sleep, you're oikeving too much. So at least tell me why you're oikeving. So he said, I was a wealthy man. My wife unfortunately passed away. So they suggested a young woman. We dated. I liked her, she liked me. That's the story he's saying. And I was wealthy, and she decided she wants to get married with me. But those days they were in Europe. They used to have these gypsies. They used to travel from town to town. Came a group of gypsies.
Still have them in Brooklyn.
Huh? They came a group of gypsies, and my wife befriended a young gypsy. She became good friends with him. And one day I come back home. There was nothing in my house. She knew where I kept my money, where am I hiding my money. Everything was ransacked in my house. And I suspect she ran away with this fellow, with this guy. In the meantime, I had choivis with people. I'm doing business. So they foreclosed on my house. I was left with nothing. I sleep here in the shul. So the soldier said, what did the gypsy look like? And what did your wife look like? He said, and if I tell you what it looks like, what are you going to do for me? The soldier said, listen, idiot. What do you have to lose? I am a soldier. I'm traveling from town to town now. If I bump into someone that looks like your wife and this gypsy, I'll try to help you out. So he describes exactly what his wife looked like and what the gypsy looked like. Beseder. Last days of Pesach, they end up in Moliev, another Jewish town, a very Jewish town. There's a famous of Shmuel Moliev. Anyone that knows.
Tora was Zion.
Artazai, right.
And Shmuel is the Pasha Shulchan.
Artazai. So Shmuel Moliev, he was a Rav in a Choshev Shtat. Moliev was a Choshev, a Jewish city. Again, they were there the last days of Pesach. Again, the commanding officer said, okay, it's a holiday. Soldiers are off for 2 days. They went into shul. They're all invited to Jewish homes that night. Family after the meal said, why don't you sleep by us? He said, no. Where's the Linas HaTzedek? They told him, where's the Linas HaTzedek? Linas HaTzedek was like the old Jewish communities that had, like some of them had like place for people to sleep. You can imagine what those places looked like, what it smelled like. You know, what do you think? I mean, that it's not only in the United States the people that sleep in cardboard boxes are, you know, it was not a place, not a very fancy 5-star accommodation. But the community had a place. If Chas v'Shalom someone was homeless or someone was traveling from place to place, he could, you know, sit down and, you know, there was a roof over your head. But you can imagine that sometimes, you know, there was like, you know, the type of people that were hanging around, the Linas HaTzedek, were not the biggest tzaddikim. So the soldier comes, he sees a whole bunch of gypsies hanging around, and he sees this one young gypsy is sitting there with a woman. She looks Jewish. It was strange to him. So he walked over, and he sees that this is it. This is a couple.
That's the guy.
Right, he's talking to them. Oh, you guys are hanging out in town. Where you guys staying? Oh, they're telling where they're staying. How long? Yeah, we're here for a couple of days. They're drinking whiskey. They're having a good time. They're gypsies. So he said hello to them. He spoke to them. Chavelava. He went to sleep. Early in the morning, he gets up. He goes to the Rav's house. He says, I'm sorry I'm waking you up early in the morning. But he told them the story, what happened in Shklov. The Rav had good connections with the police. The kid said the woman and the gentleman was pulled into the police station, and the gypsies, they didn't like them anyway that much. Schlepped them in, and this person came and identified that this is, and the long story short, they chapped that these were the Ganovim. They were sitting in jail until this Yid from Shklov was they called for him, he came, was identified as his wife, he gave her a get, he got his money back, and they were let out of jail. Okay. So this is our second dvar Tora. and the second story. Ma'nishtana, a Yid is different. Why is a Yid different? Because avodim yina lo pare b'mitzrayim v'etzienu Hashem elosheinu misham yot chazaka b'zerei netuya. We're different than everyone in this world because the Eibishter picked us not to be servants of pare, to be the Eibishter servants. Let's go to the next piece. Avodim yinu. Avodim yinu lo pare b'mitzrayim v'etzienu Hashem elosheinu misham yot chazaka b'zerei netuya v'ilu lehoitza kadosh baruch hu v'zenu b'mitzrayim harei ono v'aleinu v'nei v'aleinu v'shabodom yinu l'far b'mitzrayim afilu kolon ha'chacham kolon ha'avodim kolon ha'skenim. I'm reading it the way it's here. Kolon ha'yodem ha'satoyda mitzvah leinu l'saper b'tzias mitzrayim v'shekol ha'marbe l'saper shekol ha'masaper b'tzias mitzrayim harei ze meshubach. How is this an answer to the question? Many Meforshim talk about how every piece in this Avodah Meyinu correspond to the 4 kashas. There is a fascinating Rashi in this past week's Pasha that talks about the Korban Toida. That there's Arba Shetzrichim Lahoida. It says 4 people that have to thank the Eibishter. And this is a sugya we once learned here, Arba Tzrichim Lahoidas, and there is a remes, V'chol ha'chayim yidu chasela. Chayim is Rosh Toives, Choyle, Yam, Midbar, and Yesurim. These are the 4 people that have to be moided to the Eibishter. A person that was a Choyle, and he was in the Srapa, a person was in the Yam, came out of the Yam, person Yesurim. I'm sorry, Choyle. I'm sorry.
Sick.
Yam, Yisurim, and Midbar.
No.
Chavush. I'm sorry, not Choyle. I'm sorry, Chavush. Chavush, yeah, Chavush Beis Asurim. Chavush Beis Asurim, Yam, Yisurim, Midbar. These are the 4 people.
That's why we ask about Robashkin if you have to say Gomel or not.
Sure, he said,
Remember?
Yeah. So the Rebbe says, first of all, in a beautiful word in a Maimer, why they call Kol Achaim Yedu Chaselo? These people, they almost lost their life.
Why Chaim?
And why called Kol Achaim? And the Rebbe says a beautiful word. There's a concept in Halacha, a star shiyotza olav irur. A star, you don't have to certify a star. It doesn't have to be certified. However, anyone can call the star into question. Anyone can call the star into question. There's a malva and a loiva, and they say, give me the money. There's a star. It's a false star. Oh, everything's on hold now. Everything's on hold. Now you have to certify the star. Person gives a get to a wife. Today it doesn't happen that way. Today we already give a ma'isa bezin. We learned that people can be crazy. In those days where the woman actually held on to the get, today they don't even give the woman a get. They tear it up. They only give a ma'isa bezin, so no one could say anything against the get. But those days, the woman actually held a get in her hand. She wants to be married. The husband wants to make trouble. He comes along and says, whoa, this was fabricated. She made it in the basement. She got false witnesses. Up. Everything's on hold now. Now everything's on hold. You have to certify the get. In the meantime, this woman had nabach. She's pulling hair out of her head. So, however, what happens if there was someone called this document into question, and now it was certified? Once it's certified, no one can call it into question. There's a Maisa Bezdin. The Bezdin says this document was called into question. We looked into it. We had 2 witnesses certify that this is kosher. 3 dayanim sign. Done deal. There's nothing you can do.
Now it's stronger than before.
Otazai. It happens to be today when a woman says get l'chatchila, we do that. Bezdin doesn't even let her keep the get. Bezdin tears it with a kera bezdin, which is basically an X. So no one can ever, even if someone goes and steals it out of the files of Bezdin and says, "Ooh, it's something that's not kosher here," Bezdin's going to say, "I don't know what you're talking about. This is ripped up. This is garbage. Bring me the real one. You have a question? Bring me the real document." The real document's been shredded. You can't bring, so you can't do anything. Essentially what Bezdin does today with a get is they shred the get. They keep it in file just in case, but that tear makes it nothing. So it's as if it's shredded. They take another piece of paper and they write that we certify everything was kosher, 3 dayanim sign, here's your paper. Now no one could call this document into question. So that's the halach. A shtar doesn't have to be certified, but if it's called into question, it has to be certified. But once it was called into question, it was certified. Shtar sheyotza levidur niskayim bebezdin. No one could ever call this thing into question. Say, ooh, I see a problem here. I said, no. Bezdin already saw all the problems. They looked it through. They certified it's kosher. It's kosher. We don't want to hear any more problems about this. If Bezdin signed that this is kosher, it's kosher. Here a person, Rachmana litzlan, was in jail. He had Yisurim. He was in the midbar. He got lost. So his whole life was called into question. The Eibishter made a miracle and he came out alive. It's like a shtar sheyotza levirur. Then now it's even stronger than before. So now the life of this person, after he had this miracle, he came out of jail, he came out of the ocean, he came out of the midbar, he came out of his Yisurim, is even stronger than before. Like Chassidus says, Yirida Tzorech Aliyah. Now, if you look at the Arba, these 4 people that have to be moided to the Eibishter, in a certain sense, the Yidden that went out of Egypt, they had all of these. They were Chovesh Bebeis Asurim. They were in jail. They also went out of Yam Suf, so they went through the Yam. They also were in the Midbar. And they also had Yisurim. Kol Machla Shasamtim Mitzrayim La'osam Alech Kan Yeshem Reifechem. So the Yidden had the 4 things that the 4th just ratazai. So in the night of Pesach, you see that a lot of things are in the order of 4. You have 4 kashas, you have 4 sons, you have 4 koises. The Yidden, when they went out of Mitzrayim, had 4 miracles that happened to them. They have to say Agoimel 4 times. When we say Avodah Meyino Lefarim Mitzrayim, so there is 4 miracles, and there is 4 times Agoimel that we have to say to thank the Eibishter. And the Mashal says in the Gemara Brochus that that's why Chazal made a takona to have 4 koises. Every kois is another brocha. It's another thanking the Eibishter. We sing song over the wine. We say shira over the wine. Every kois is thanking the Eibishter. One is because he took us out of the jail. The other he took us out of the Yamsuf. The other one took us out of the Yisurim. And he took us out of the Midbar.
That's why it's Chaim.
We have a few. If we have a short time, because I said 3 dvar Toras and 3 stories, so 1 more story. For this dvar Torah should also have a story. There is a Choshev Chabad Chosed. He passed away several years ago. His name was Rav Berel Eunuch. Eunuch.
I just went to a bar mitzvah.
Of one of his grandchildren, probably. Yeah. Rabbi Eunuch was actually a unique fellow. He was a wonderful, wonderful fellow for many years. First of all, he was very close to the Rebbe's family. It's a long story. He was he used to help the Rebbe's mother. He was very, very close to the Rebbe's family. He was Nebuchadnezzar that came out of Russia with no one and nothing. He used to teach throughout the winter. He did it just as a chesed, as an absolute chesed. He used to teach shchita in the koilel, in the Chabad koilel, for years and years and years. Here. I learned shchita by him.
The building behind 70. Today is empty.
Stand for hours. Stand there, Zoe. The main thing is shchita. People think the shchita. What was it take to be a sheikh? Probably you have to know how to sheikh. Halochis, the Yeridea, Simcha Chadosha.
A book like this is
The main thing is how to hold the stone in your hand, how to get that thing chad v'cholok, how you can put your finger over it. Some people have incredible hargosha. Some people they don't know. They put it in the nail. They put the Weissen garnish. They say, oh yeah, it's really good. Rabbi Yunik would teach us how you get perfection. And you also have to learn how to
Practice.
So
Practice.
it used to be in the beginning of the course would be 4 hours a night. You stand there for 4 hours, and then it used to be 3 hours, 2 hours. He used to tell stories, many stories, and Mordecai stories. Rav Yunik had an incredible story about a brother. He managed to escape Russia with false documents. Rebbe Tzachana was his mother. The Rebbe's mother, Allah Sholem, they had false documents. They had of a mother and a daughter, and the ground was burning under their feet. The KGB was onto it. That Lubavitch Chassidim were escaping. It was already, things were shaky, and they knew that it's only a matter of very, very short time before this whole thing is going to be over. Escaping with these false documents, which is upheaval after the Second World War. There was a little bit of a window of opportunity, but they realized it was closing down. So they had this. They found these documents, false document that there was a mother and a son, a Polish mother and son, and so they gave Rebbe Tzachana the document that she's the mother and he was the son. Baruch Hashem, they managed to escape. That's what made his closeness, because they escaped with such false documents. So, to the Rebbe was like, oh, so sort of he took him into the family. He came to the United States, and he always used to help the Rebbe with his mother and so on. His brother tried to escape, but it was too late. And Nebuch, he tried. He managed to, with a few Yidden, to escape. They were already in Romania. And they had this guy that was supposed to take them over the border from Romania to the next station. And this guy was an informer, and he brought the police, and they went from Romania. They were sent back to Russia. First, they were sentenced to death, and then was commuted for 25 years harsh labor in Siberia, and 5 years in prison. And Nebuch, he says, this guy was sat in terrible conditions in jail. He said that his brother told him a stray dog that ended up in their camp, where they were in Siberia, if a stray dog ended up in the camp, in minutes he was devoured.
For food.
Food, yeah.
Wow.
So, and many people died. It wasn't safe. He didn't know what's going on, but he knew his brother something was wrong. This was 1952. He came over to the Rebbe at Pesach. Zachar Pesach asked the Rebbe. I'm sorry, it was before Pesach. He asked the Rebbe a bracha for his brother. The Rebbe gave him a piece of matzah, and the Rebbe said, "You should give this matzah to your brother." So the Rebbe said, "It doesn't have to be in the United States. You could give it to him, but outside of USSR." So he was feeling good about it. But his brother will be released. But time went on, and there was another 2 years when he didn't hear anything from his brother. And he was again at the Yechidus by the Rebbe, and he said to the Rebbe, "In the name of my father, I'm asking for a bracha for my brother." The Rebbe sort of said, "What in Yiddish? Was willst mir ziehen von der Zung?" Trying to pull my tongue, like you're trying to promise me to. My father-in-law managed to do bigger things, and I'm sure he'll manage this one too. The Rebbe never attributed any of the brachas he gave to himself. It was all his father-in-law. So he said, my father-in-law, in other words, you're trying to pull my tongue, tell you a date when your brother will be here. It'll be good. Short time after that, his brother was released from jail, miraculously. His brother stayed there for many years in Russia. He got married, he had Baruch Hashem children. He managed to get out of Russia in 1971.
Wow. Wow.
This is years later. He managed to get papers to go to Canada, to move to Canada. When his plane touched down in Canada, Beryl Eunuch was waiting, and the first thing when he saw his brother, he gave him the piece of matzah. He said, "This is a matzah I got from you 19 years ago from Lubavitch Rebbe."
Wow.
It was probably still edible.
Well,
This
a little hard.
He held on for all these years to that one piece of matzah. The Eibishter shall helfen that all of us, in whatever yisudim we have, wherever chovush, wherever we might be, in whatever spiritual jail, the Eibishter should take us out. Min hameitzer al hamerchav, Here you have 3 dvar Toras. I hope you share it with your family on Halach Ma'anya, Manishtana, and Avodah Mayinu. Before we even get to Pesach, the Eibusha should help that B'Shem Mashiach Tzidkenu, you should share these dvar Toras over the Korban Pesach.
Amen.